boring. Where you can feast with the nectar of the gods. You'll always have a seat at Norse Hall.
Welcome everybody to Top Dog Coverage. It's your boy Dirty with your boy C-Dub. We have been kicking out content as much as we possibly can for the past few weeks. The draft is over. We are under 100 days, ready to rock and roll. So if you don't know about us, if you're just hearing about us, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the at Top Dog Coverage on X, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, anything that you could possibly think of. I'm running out of breath. C-Dub, what's going on, baby?
Hey, what's up, Dirty? How we doing?
We're doing, baby. It's another day of no football action, but lots of football talk, as we love to do on Top Dog Coverage.
Yeah, a lot of mini camps and a lot of voluntary OTAs and stuff going on.
Yeah, man.
Around the league, so
Slowly but surely, it is wrapping up, and like I said, under 100 days, man, and we're back at it. You know?
Yeah, how crazy is that? It just seems like it just finally got here.
Dude, it's like the Super Bowl was just here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just here.
Yeah, I know. That's the wild part. And then we were just at the combine. We were waiting for the draft. The draft came and went. Schedule release. Now, good prepared.
Yep.
Ready
And
for the season kickoff.
While we were all doing our thing, me and C-Dub, as always, we're always grinding out. So we entered another scouting class just to sharpen the tools, make sure everything is good. By no means do we think that we have everything put together. We still have a lot to learn, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always the course that we took. It allows you to, I don't know, get re-energized, so to speak. You go through all this process, you go through all this work for the previous draft and whatnot, and it just gets you just excited. And you get to talk with like-minded people. You get to meet a lot of great folks. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely like you said, re-energizing, and it's a great networking opportunity too.
Oh yeah.
For basically, you meet a lot of people that have not even graduated college yet, so I would say this, like, for anybody thinking about getting into scouting or getting in your foot in the door, go find a scouting class, go look it up online. They're everywhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're easy to find, and this is how I met you, right? Through going to combine, networking, and doing all this other stuff. So it's like, we hit it off pretty good, and look, years later we started a business, and we're doing what we love to do. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just after the research and everything, a couple that I know that I recommend that I always enjoyed was SMWW. I think they do a great program. We've got to meet some great mentors over that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Scouting Academy is another one that I've heard a lot of good praise about.
Yeah, I heard that one's like it could be 16 weeks long, right? That's a solid one.
Yep.
I have not been introduced to that just yet, which I think that is one that I might want to dive into. I just haven't really had the time to dedicate 16 weeks yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think from my understanding, I had a couple buddies that did it, but I think you go at your own pace and whatnot, and you get a lot of feedback. Dan Hatman is the guy that runs that program over there, so he's a really good guy.
That's pretty dope. But everything aside from that, Ready to talk ball again. So, what would you say if we jumped into a little football news? What do you say?
Yeah, let's kick it off with some news.
All right.
Going on around the league.
So the Jaguars won't have two-way rookie Travis Hunter practice on both sides during the same OTA session. So they're going to be obviously breaking some stuff up. And I think this is probably the best idea that they've had. He's already going to be playing both sides, so they say. And you don't want more wear and tear on a guy you just traded up and gave up a lot of assets for.
Right. Yeah.
Panthers wide receiver Xavier Legette is aiming to negate drops in year 2.
That's seems positive. That's good. That's a good step.
What is it? The sophomore slump, right?
Yeah. I mean,
that's kind of what they call it. But
you got to be able to catch the football as a receiver. So.
Yeah. You know, you got to be able to know what you're doing, especially coming in year 2, and you got it under your belt. The timing should be good, and everything's everything should slow down. The game should slow down. You should start getting stuff together. Even Stephon Diggs, right? Stephon Diggs, we knew was a great player, but even he stood behind some players. He was only playing like, I think 70% of the snaps, or 60 or 50%, something like that, something weird like that. And he wasn't getting the full reps until like third or fourth year or something like that. So it's,
yeah, I think Diggs was also mid-round pick, wasn't he? Was he a third or fourth rounder?
I believe so, yeah.
Out of Maryland.
So it's just got to get your footing right. They got a couple of wide receivers over there at the Panthers now, and just see what happens. Legette is a big body dude, so it's like, I think he'll be fine over there though.
Yeah.
In some other news, sadly enough, the Colts owner Jim Irsay passed away, and what did you say? He passed away in his sleep, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately that does, and rest in peace and condolences to his family. And I believe that his daughter is taking over certain stuff for the team. I think
I would assume so. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, but condolences to the Irsay family, and it's got to be a hard time. That's a dynasty built over there. So
yeah.
Another news. Terry Bradshaw not too keen on Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the Pittsburgh guys that want to make sure that Pittsburgh stays Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, I think he referred to the situation as a joke, so that's always good. But also, it seems like Mason Rudolph's not bothered at all by the Aaron Rodgers nonsense, noise, decision thing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's
good on Rudolph. They never let him play in those reindeer games, but hey,
no,
he's ready.
I think that's Speaking, hey, by the way, speaking of Stephon Diggs, before wasn't he on a boat?
Yeah, there's a viral video going around of him on a boat with a few women in a pink substance within a bag. So
why? It's just never good enough, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, Vrabel addressed it today. He told them on Wednesday that they were aware of the video, and I'm assuming that he'll be having some choice words with him.
I bet he will. And and with that being said, the center David Andrews decided to retire right after that.
Yeah, said I'm too old for this. I'm out. I'm not dealing with all this.
Not even messing with this. I'm out of here before anything happens. So, this guy does not want to get roofied in his own locker room.
No.
I
think he won 2 Super Bowls too, so I think he's probably set. He's good.
He's been there for a decade, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, good for him, man. And Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill is coming to the end of his career here. I mean, still, I believe, still elite player. Okay, but only
he's only 30, 31.
Yeah, I mean that's older for an NFL player, especially wide receiver. Stephon Diggs is too, but it's
Yeah, but Diggs' game wasn't predicated on speed. Right. I mean, I think which we call it Tyreek Hill is, but you go from being the fastest guy in the league to maybe not as fast. You're still pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I still think he's going to be a valuable asset. It'll just be, I think, a lot of injuries and a lot of nonsense last year kind of derailed him. I mean, that offense just was dreadful once Tua went down.
I think if you're drinking pickle juice on a regular, it's because you need to stay hydrated because you know how to run.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
pretty.
Miami, it's hot. It's
It
muggy.
does. It does. I went there for a November game, dude.
Mhm.
Melting. I was melting in my seat.
Yeah, you're used to that Northeast weather.
Yeah, it's like, but I didn't
You
think
up
I
there
was.
living in an igloo or something, dude. You ain't used to the
Dude,
heat down here in the South.
no, but I didn't expect that. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, man. You guys, you gotta be ready.
All right, and Bears quarterback Caleb Williams stresses desire to be in the Chicago following book details. Okay. I guess it's coming out that he didn't want to be drafted in Chicago.
Yeah, I think we all kind of knew that before the draft, though. But
Yeah.
then he came in, he said, hey, whatever. I want to be there to be the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards and do this and that. So
He might have a really good chance with that new head coach, Ben Johnson. And
yeah, I just think it was just a really bad situation. It was a lame duck coach type deal, and it just needed to. They needed to pull the trigger on getting rid of Eberflus ahead of time before they drafted him.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think he's in a better situation. I think what Ben Johnson surrounded him with already
Yeah.
is light years is going to help him with his development and be able to prove all the doubters wrong.
Yeah. I agree with that. So if you guys are listening right now, that's the end of the news. We're going to have a little bit better stuff here coming soon. Some more music, some more details, just to keep you guys more engaged. You know what I mean? So, but we're going to have some fun, cool stuff. It just takes a while to get those things homemade. You know what I mean? So that's what we try to do for you guys. Try to make everything homemade and everything just fun and exciting. So patience is gratuitous. So thank you.
Absolutely.
But hit the like button again, subscribe, okay, tell your friends. And also, if you're listening to Spotify or Apple, swipe up, leave a comment, hit 5 stars, let us know that, good or bad comments, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Sometimes we need to hear the criticism, sometimes we need to hear the good stuff. So it's always going to help us grow in the end. So today we decided that it's pretty much a good idea to maybe run through some of these depth charts that have been happening. The draft is over, free agency. There's still a couple guys out there. There's always gonna be somebody gets hurt, somebody gets picked up. But I figure we start with the NFC East. And just see what we can gather here with who got picked up and who got drafted and what spots were filled for.
Yeah, I mean they're kicking off the season, so we might as well start with the NFC East.
Yeah, so let's go to the Cowboys real quick, all right?
Okay.
So right off the bat, let's start off with George Pickens. Okay, so they have let's start with their wide receivers. Okay, so CD, I think this is a really good wide receiver depth here right now with
Well, I think you got two really big time receivers, right? The depth is kind of unknown. A lot of younger guys, right?
It is, but I all right. So this is they wanted Jonathan Mingo over there. They got him last year. They have Jalen Tolbert, who I get it. He's kind of in and out. But CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, and Turpin. And Turpin, I don't think is going anywhere. He's going to be that same guy, right? That speedster, the punt returner.
Exactly. Yeah, but also you have the rookie pick from last year, Ryan Forney, who got to play a little bit. They signed Paris Campbell.
Yep.
It's just another flyer.
That's a good veteran move.
He's played everywhere.
Yeah, he was a big guy coming in that draft, and it didn't really work out.
Right. And so I mean, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of names on the list, but I think you got two alpha receivers it'll be interesting to see how they get along and how it happens. It seems like I think CD's obviously he's got that really great big personality, and he's the alpha there.
Yeah.
But George Pickens, he's another big body that can make some outstanding catches, and I think it's going to help Dak a lot in lining up the scoreboard this year.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. They're didn't they get Mingo? They got Jonathan Mingo when everybody kind of got hurt, right?
Kind of. It was like a midseason. It was right at the midseason trademark, right
Yeah.
before the thing, the trade deadline.
Yeah. All right. So moving from wide receivers, want to go to the offensive line here?
Yeah. I mean, they got the all Tyler team
The alt-
basically. So yeah, starting five at left tackle, you got Tyler Guyton, left guard Tyler Smith, center Cooper Beebe, right guard Tyler Booker, and then right tackle Terrence Steele. I think Cooper Beebe in his second year is going to take that next step and be one of the top tier centers in the league.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Smith has been a great player for them, and he's played at tackle, guard, pretty much all across that offensive line. Tyler Guyton, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you look at it, everybody's a first round pick here, 3 out of the 5. You know what I mean? That's pretty damn good. You know.
Yeah, I think the only two are Terrence Steele and Cooper Beebe. I think Cooper Beebe was a second rounder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they got a stout offensive line. It looks like they get pretty good depth as well.
Yeah, and not for nothing, again, like we said this before, is that this offensive and defensive line and running back were just very deep this year in the draft. So it's like you can get guys for later on developmental and just see how it pans out. You know, that you can put them on second string, third string practice squad, and look, people get hurt in the NFL, and this was the absolute perfect draft to do that.
Yeah, it's one of those you have to eat your vegetables, right? You have to take your offensive and defensive line. Those are the foundation for your team. Those are what's going to help keep you competitive for a really long time.
Looks like they have a bunch of tight end bodies in here. Obviously, Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, but then you got these 5 other dudes: Spanford, John Stephens Jr., Princeton Fant, Rivaldo Fairweather, Tyler Neville. Like I don't know too many. I think I've heard of Tyler Neville.
Yeah, I feel like John Stephens Jr. I think he was like an LSU guy. I think.
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing. If I'm looking at it right now, and I don't know how many people they have, but you're looking at it. Those are like 4 guys that are going to be cut right off the bat, almost, or 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that it'll be a Ferguson, Schoonmaker, tight end room, and then whoever else fills out that third, maybe 4th tight end depth.
Yeah.
So over 6th round.
Moving on to quarterback here. You got Dak, obviously, until he gets hurt.
Coming back. Yeah, he's got that hamstring injury last year, but I mean, we'll see how he heals. I think he can take that next step in this offense. I think he can be a consistent fantasy starter or just like regular starter.
Yeah.
This year. So
I think it was great for them to get a consistent backup since
I don't know if consistent would be the right word, but I think to rolling the dice.
I mean, they weren't gonna. I would say veteran. I guess I'll say that, a veteran guy, because it's
Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush was the guy that backup for a long time. I mean, Joe Milton's going into his second year. I think he's just got that huge arm, and he's got a lot of talent. It's just, can he put it all together?
Yeah, I just don't think that they wanted to pay Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but he started a lot of important games for him over the last few years.
Yeah,
and I remember what was a couple seasons ago where they had the debate: was Cooper Rush better than Dak because he won his 5 games? Like, how ridiculous was that? Like,
it's like relax,
yeah, come
guys.
on.
Everybody's getting a little bit ahead of themselves.
Made 0 sense, but whatever. But Joe Milton, I really like him. He's huge. I think he's 6'5", 6'6", 230, 240. Can run. Huge cannon for an arm. I think it's just getting used to and acclimated to an NFL offense.
Mm-hmm.
He showed flashes in that Week 18 game in New England. Showed enough to get traded, and I think this gives Dallas a developmental guy that can potentially maybe be a starter down the road. Since Dak is getting up a little bit older, I want to say he's like, what, 32, 33-ish? So.
Every year he gets hurt, that guy.
Not every year.
It's a lot. The dude has gotten hurt a lot.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it's been a lot of freak injuries and stuff like that.
I also know that I'm the guy that looks at injuries all the time.
You're obsessed with injuries. That's all you talk about. That's all you care about.
Look, that might be from a fantasy aspect. Okay, there's a possibility that might be why. But I do notice it a lot. I will say that.
Well, I mean, any of these guys have a chance to get hurt. It's just that's the nature of the business. That's the NFL. It's a gladiator sport. There's going to be injuries. So
yeah. You want to know? You want to know something that's kind of funny? The fact that as much as I understand that I hone in on injuries.
Yeah.
I hate it when people say, well, you're just one injury away. Like everybody says this all the time about every single team. There's always a bunch of fans that say you're one injury away from getting this. And just so you have to get another wide receiver. It's like, yeah, but you can say that about every single position.
Yeah, absolutely.
About corner, about linebacker, about defensive line, defensive end, or defensive end, defensive tackle, your guard, your tackle, your running back. You can say it about anybody.
Yeah.
So when they hone in, I've heard so many people be like, "We're just one injury away." It's like, yeah, but that's every single position.
Absolutely, yeah. And look at towards the end of the year, as teams are gearing up for the playoffs, the more healthier teams are the ones that make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's just it is what it is. It's just part of it.
And that's that next man up mentality. You know. Speaking about next man up, this running back room, dude. I don't know what's happening here. Okay?
It's kind of weird, right? The hodgepodge of athletes here.
Yeah, dude. Like, look, you got. I'll just run through it real quick. Like, you got Javonte Williams, who had 2 years after his injury in Denver, just trying to do whatever it is that he's doing, and I understand that, but he just didn't work out in Denver. You got Jaden Blue, who's supposed to be this electrifying dude, probably not in every guy down or every down guy, but he's there. He's going to be electrifying there. Miles Sanders got this big contract and fell off the face of the earth. And then you got Phil Maffa, who is not really a guy that can go east to west. He should be more of a north-south guy, and he's got a lot of speed. And then you got Deuce Vaughn, probably one of the shortest guys in the league.
I believe he is the shortest guy in the league.
I don't know. Who do you think is starting here?
Well, I think Javonte. I think he's going to get the first crack at it. I think that he might have the least upside, but he's probably one of the better vets in this room. I don't know how I feel about Miles Sanders. I just think that's another potential camp body that maybe might not make it on that. I haven't seen much from him since he lost that Philly offensive line. Some new teams.
Yeah.
But I think the ones who are going to get the most playing time is probably Javonte and Jaden Blue.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be your Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah.
Type backfield. So
I think that this kid, Phil Maffa, I did a little bit of research on him, and out of Clemson, but he can truck you over, dude.
He's a bigger body back, right?
He's like 235, man.
Yeah.
That's a big dude.
Yeah.
And I think eventually if they have him and Jadon Blue, that could be a dangerous 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember Javonte's only a 1-year deal, so
yeah. And Miles Sanders is on a contract deal, which means once he gets paid, he's done.
He's on a 1-year deal too, so I don't think he's going to make the team, to be honest.
I don't think so either.
We'll see.
All right, let's move down to defense.
Yes, sir. Well, you left out the fullback, Hunter Lipke. They're one of the few teams that still has a fullback.
I don't know how to say his name.
Hunter Lipke?
What is it, Lukey?
Lupke?
Lupke, yeah. Hunter? Sure.
Yeah.
Do you know who he is? Because I don't.
Yeah, he played at North Dakota State.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what all I know. I think he's more of a better blocker than he is of like pass catcher and stuff like that. But I think he might have decent hands.
Fair enough.
He
Fair
made a
enough.
couple plays last year, but
Maybe lay some people out too.
yeah, might as well. Why not?
Those goal lines.
All right.
Let's get into some defensive line here. Dante Fowler Jr.
He's coming back, right?
I
Wasn't he with
believe.
Dallas, left to Washington, and is coming back.
Was he on Jaguars at one point?
He was like the third overall pick from the Jags.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was when he first came out of the league, and then
Yeah, they did some work here. Hold on, let me see. Oh, injured. Oh yeah, they already got Overshown is injured. Trevon Diggs is injured. I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit ahead of myself. I'm just looking at it. Okay, so they again defensive defensive end and nose tackle. They made some picks
yeah,
filling up that line, which is awesome. So Dante Fowler Jr. from Washington. It sucks that they kind of lost somebody over there because Washington really needs they need defense as best as possible. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to Washington, but
Yeah.
I think it gives them a veteran presence in the defensive line room because you had a lot of young guys on that defensive line last year, so a vet option there. You got Donovan Azaraku.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think was their second round pick. Him and Sam Williams, I feel like they're very similar players, more of that speed rushers.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have a pretty strong defensive end group, especially in terms of pass rushers.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Micah Parsons, so they're going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. It's just who's going to take advantage of it.
Have you seen anything about these two guys here, Jay Tua or Tua, Toya? I think it's Toya. Jay Toya.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dude, he's like 342.
Yeah. Hey, the UCLA nose tackle.
Bro, and the funny thing is, he's actually played against Ajani, who the Dallas Cowboys drafted, and he threw him around like a rag doll.
Oh, the tackle that they took in the sixth round?
Yeah, and Ajani's pretty good, but Jay comes in, dude. He knows how to hit those gaps. Like as soon as
he's strong.
Yeah, him right next to Tommy Aking Besedo, I think it's how you say it, Besode. Dude, these two guys could be monstrous on that line when they get the chance to become together. Like all the contracts are kind of done or what have you, or they move their way up the depth chart. This could be a very dangerous defensive line.
Yeah, there's a lot of youth on this defensive line too.
Yeah, so Solomon Thomas, he's only there, you know.
He's actually a local kid. He's from Coppell, Texas. So
that's right. You did tell me that.
Yep, he's coming back home.
Cool.
So and he looks like he's in great shape right now too. He's rocked up. And he's also a huge Star Wars fan. For those that might not.
There you go.
So
good old Star Wars.
Oh yeah. And they also they signed Peyton Turner to be part of that edge.
Oh, there you go.
Rotation. So
did not
amount to much of anything in New Orleans. Dealt with a lot of injuries. He was one of those surprise first round picks. Tried to take more of the measurables. Didn't really work out. So hopefully he can see some success in Dallas.
Yeah. We'll move over to linebackers here, and I guess Overshown is hurt. I don't know the status of his injury, and Trevon Diggs is hurt. I don't know his injury.
Yeah, I think they want to say it was a knee injury for both. I think Overshown tore his ACL again.
Jeez. I mean, good things they got James Shamar out of the draft.
Yeah, the Florida linebacker, right?
Yeah. And then Trevon Diggs, I mean, since he's hurt, you got, Siobhan Ravel, but he's also coming off an ACL tear too, right?
Yeah, he'll be full go though. That was early in the season last year. Siobhan would have been a first round pick if not for that injury. But he's super fast, sticky corner, great man coverage. So, but he'll be ready to go by training camp.
I mean, maybe I'm looking at this. I don't want to say wrong, but if you look at this cornerback situation, I really do like the cornerback. I know it's by names, and some of them are hurt. You know what I mean? So you take Diggs, Ravel Jr. You know he's coming in. A Lamb from a trade from Buffalo, and then you actually still have Deron Bland on the
Mhm.
right side.
Kalen Carson, their
Yeah, I think
second-year player last year too.
yeah, man. And Malik Hooker as a safety, like I still like this.
Yeah.
They
No, they
really have.
they they got a pretty good, solid, a lot of depth at corner too.
I think this is a very, very. I don't know. I think it's a hidden potential.
Yeah, yeah, I like their defensive backs. I think their defense. I think it's going to be a lot more improved than it was last year. I think Zimmer just is kind of fell by with the times. It's a different league. You know, he used to be a great defensive mind, but this defense was too static. You never
Yeah.
saw a lot of movement and not a lot of just guys in coverages. So I think with Eberflus coming in, he
Mhm.
wasn't a great head coach, but he could play some defense.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
Bears defense was great our last couple of years.
And not for nothing. I what was it, 5 years ago or something like that when Dallas actually did have a good defense.
I
Like,
think it was like 2 years ago.
was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's when Dan Quinn was running the defense.
Yeah, Darren. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. He was rocking out, man. He really knew how to utilize his players to, if the offense wasn't working, sure as hell the defense still was. So,
Yep.
um, all right. Do you want to hit the Brian Anger, Brandon Aubrey? That's kind of funny that the punter and the place kicker both have the
Anger
same
Aubrey.
initial. They still their initials are BA, both of them.
Yeah. Hey,
And
ain't
then
nothing wrong with
Trent
that.
Sieg. Everybody likes a long snapper. Shout outs to the long snappers.
Yeah, long snappers are what keeps the teams together.
Yeah. And then you got Cavante Turpin. Oh, by the way, that's who knows. We should have asked. I forgot to ask him about it on the show. Our last show
Darvin.
with Darvin. He's friends with Cavante.
Oh, really? You know he's a SMWW alum.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Turpin. I think he maybe took the class. I don't know. He was part of the SMWW family. So
I will tell you, Darvin has some wild speed, and for that man to tell me that dude has speed, that
yeah,
just goes to show you.
absolutely.
All right. Who do you want to go to?
Well, I just want to cover the coaches real quick before we move on to the next team.
Shoot, go ahead.
So Dallas, obviously they didn't. Mike McCarthy was out. They hired longtime offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, whose dad was a great head coach in the league too. But I think he gets a bad rap for not getting any type of head coaching interviews and stuff like that. And he's been in the league for so long, but I'm excited to see him get a shot as a head coach. I think he can. He's got the right type of personality, and he's been there for a little bit now. So I think he was the Jets at OC for a little while too, right?
Yeah, I'll say this: like, depending on what he does, I hope he lets Clayton Adams kind of do what he wants to do. And I don't really know Clayton Adams' offensive style, but Brian Schottenheimer kind of is. He's been around a lot, so he has a lot of experience. But he is kind of predictable when he's an OC. But when he has the right tools, and maybe this is just but it's when he has the right guys in there, then yeah, they can execute. But he is kind of like that run, pass kind of, and
Yeah.
every now and again he'll jump into the bag. So I'm interested to see what he'll do as a head coach and see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's the play caller is going to be on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Eberflus is obviously going to call plays on defense, but I would assume they'd probably be in a lot of 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end,
I see that.
just with the type of receiving talent and stuff they have. But I don't know.
I like it.
Cool beans. You want to
Move
go to
on
the
to New York.
Giants?
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah.
And we'll let's go down to the GM and the head coach and all these guys first. How about that?
Yeah. Are you surprised that they're still there? GM Joe
Um,
Shane, head coach Brian Daboll.
Not really. Like, all right. So let me explain something, and this is just my opinion, but How long did Robert Saleh? And yeah, I'm going to bring up the Jets, but it always goes back to the Jets.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
long
we
did
are
Robert?
talking about New York, so I guess it's fair.
I get yeah, right across the bridge there. But how long did Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas get a chance?
Was it
Long enough.
three
You know what I
years?
mean?
4 years?
4 years. He got in there like you know. So this is the thing. I just call him Joe Schuin. I don't know if this is his real name, but
It's Joe
uh,
Shane.
okay, cool.
Oh man, here we go.
But this is the thing. I don't think once Brian Dable gets at it, I'm gonna say this now. Brian Dable's a good coach.
Yeah, this is his 4th year with the Giants.
Yeah, and it's like somebody's got to give him something to work with here. He can only work with what he's got, and
He did make
if
Daniel Jones serviceable when he used him as a battering ram that one year. He went to the playoffs. He had that man running around everywhere.
because he had to.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So it's like, no, I don't see this, but it's just like I don't see this as surprising, but I do see it as surprising as it doesn't really look like they're working on their offensive line too much. And it's like, dude, guys, like what are we doing here? You know? It I like yeah, I don't know. We'll get into the depth right now, but I don't think that it's a problem with Dable, but I do think it's a problem with the GM.
Yeah, we can get to it, but I think the Hard Knocks kind of painted him a really bad light. I don't think he did himself any favors either on that.
Probably not.
This is probably why no team will ever do that type of Hard Knocks ever again.
The worst of the worst did happen.
Yeah, it was like the absolute just complete disaster of a show in terms of their view for the New York Giants. But I like Kafka a lot. He got to see him down at the Senior Bowl, and I think he does a good job. I think he is a future head coach in this league. Shane Bowen, a new DC since Wink Martindale is now with Michigan.
Mhm.
Don't know too much about Shane though. And then, obviously special teams coordinator loves, got to show some love to special teams, but I couldn't tell you too much about him.
I hear you. I'll have a couple more things ready for Shane, but looks like he came from the Titans area. So
Okay, nice.
His college was Georgia Tech, and
So if he comes from that Titans defense, I know they've already been running a 3-4 for last year, so
okay,
I think that'll be maybe remember those old school Titans teams and those 3-4 defenses. So I think that's probably maybe what we can expect, especially because there's a lot of talent on this defense. You want to get into it?
yeah, I was just I was going to go over just a few things I just found
Yeah.
on Shane Bowen, just in case you wanted,
Fire him off. Tell us.
In 2023, Bowen boasted the number one defense in the red zone scoring, allowed touchdowns on 37.7% of drives inside the 20. Goal-to-goal scoring, 42.9%, resulting in touchdowns, and third down conversions rate in the red zone, 23.4. In addition, Tennessee ranked second inside the 30. Touchdown efficiency with 34.7%, and opponent third and short conversions, 50%.
Okay.
So something to look forward to. I mean, you're going to get a dog in there that's going to have a actual plan, not just going to wing it.
Yeah. Someone who's had some success in this league, and I think that's great.
Completed his sixth season with the Titans at 8 overall in the NFL, and Tennessee promoted him to defensive coordinator in 2021 after he spent his first 3 seasons as an outside linebackers coach. So he's worked his way up through the system. But
yeah, that's great.
We can keep it simple, and we'll move on to the defensive line, offensive line. What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do defense.
Defense, all right.
Yeah, we started with offense last time. All right, do you want me to start with special teams? We'll just cover them real quick.
Sure. Yeah. Graham Gano.
Yeah, long time. Wasn't he with the Panthers?
He was.
Long time Panther, Giant now.
So sidebar. There was a thing that was that happened in one of our fantasy football leagues where one guy made a trade, and you know what I mean. I'm sorry. One guy presented a trade. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
He presented a trade to me, and I was like, no, I'm good. You know what I mean? And he was trying to convince me that this is a good trade. And I was like, dude, it's not a good trade. So
that's how you know it's not a good trade if he's got to convince you.
You're right. So as a joke, because he wouldn't leave me alone, I sent him a trade for that player that I did want on his team for Graham Gano. I think we've all done this before, okay? That player got hurt after I sent that trade.
Wow. So you cursed the player?
This is the Graham Gano curse in this league because this continued to happen every time somebody did this with Graham Gano.
No way, really?
Yeah. This is
wow.
You
got some voodoo over there, man.
Hand to the sky, truest story ever. We also did this with Le'Veon Bell. We did this with dude, it was like 4 or 5 players.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anytime that somebody would send Graham Gano, like if they wanted your player hurt, they would send you a trade with Graham Gano in there. And then if you declined it, you better hold on and pray. So what I would do if something was sent to me, I would let it just sit there the entire season.
Wow.
I would never decline it. It's a wild story.
That's pretty crazy.
But on we go. So we got Eric Gray is depth here with kick returns and punt returns with Amir Smith-Marset and Graham Gano. There he is. And then the Irish Hammer, Jamie Gillen.
Is it the Irish Hammer or the Scottish Hammer?
I thought it was the Irish Hammer. It could be the Scottish Hammer.
I think it's Scottish Hammer.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Either
Jamie
way,
Gillian.
Yeah. Either way, coolest name ever.
Yeah, it's just pretty sick.
Yeah. And then shout outs to the long snappers, Casey Kreider, coming from Denver.
Yeah. Sweet.
And then I don't know what McAtamney, Jude McAtamney is doing there, but maybe Gano doesn't stay healthy.
He's the backup kicker. I mean, they went through a lot of kickers last year. So
They did. That seems to be a thing more and more each year. No.
Yeah, I feel like more kickers are getting hurt. They got to take care of themselves.
This is true.
They got to remember their athletes.
Yeah, man. All right, so want to jump right into the defense here?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
So they got a couple people here. So this is what I do like, man. I do like Dexter.
Sexy
Dexy here.
Yeah.
With another linebacker they just drafted. I'm really liking this with Brian Burns too. I like this Abdul Carter and Sexy Dexy.
Oh, their pass rush is crazy.
Dude, this is gonna be really fun
because they still have Kayvon Thibodeau too.
Yeah,
first rounder from a couple years ago. Like
maybe he could feed off of this. That's what I'm looking for.
You're gonna have a nasty rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the Titans used to have a good rotational defensive pass rush as well. So Shane Bone, I think, it knows how to execute and send these guys out to operate.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how that's going to go. It's a lot going on. And Darius Alexander coming in. We've talked about him before.
Mm-hmm.
Chauncey Golston coming from Dallas, awesome. Jeremiah Ledbetter from Jacksonville. So they're getting guys to come in and everything. They're not all probably going to make the team, but these are veteran guys that they know a scheme when somebody's asking them to do it. So and then you have I can never say his fucking name, Bobby.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. From Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And Micah McFadden. So
yeah, and then you got some good depth there too with Darius Moasu. Probably messed that one up.
That's all right.
And then you got Chris Board coming over from Baltimore, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So you got some depth definitely out there at linebacker, but those edge rushers, man, I can't stop talking about it. I get excited. And another big free agent signing, they signed Paulson Adebo from New Orleans.
There you go. Yeah, that's one of your guys over there.
Yep. He actually, I was at the game where he fractured his tibia.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's already running and sprinting and working out and everything, so he's recovered very nicely.
That's good. I'll say this. Raheem Nunez
Mm-hmm.
Roches,
Mm-hmm.
undrafted, or I'm sorry, free agent from Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
I will say this: anybody that comes from a Todd Bowles, right, even if he's been cut from Todd Bowles, I'm telling you, he learned something from that guy. Okay, Todd Bowles is a
absolutely. Yeah,
great defensive mind and great head coach.
yeah.
But going down to yep, the corners, like you said, uh, uh, Paulson Adebo.
Paulson Debo. You got Corey Black that they drafted in the 7th round. Nick Jones coming over from San Francisco, just more depth.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Black is actually out of Oklahoma State. So in the Big 12, there's no defense really, but he's got a lot of practice reps at corner coverage. But you got Tyler Nubin going into a second year,
Mm-hmm.
strong safety. Dane Belton's another good player, another good depth player. But signing Javon Holland from Miami,
That's a really good pickup.
really good young safety. I think he dealt with a neck injury at some point over there
I
in
believe.
Miami, so
Yeah.
hopefully he can come back fully healthy. I'm not super in love with the other corners, the other rooms. I know Drew Phillips was a great player, second year, I believe out of Kentucky.
Mm.
Deontay Banks was a first rounder. Uh,
Maryland, I think.
mm-hmm. I just
I
it's little. He's kind of a small player.
He is. He's kind of feisty, but I think it's all about scheme too. So we'll see. We
Yeah,
can really see how this is gonna.
yeah. I think Cordell Flott got some pretty good snaps too. A corner from LSU.
Okay.
So there's some potential in this corner room. It's not something that I love, but I do like the addition of Paulson Debo.
Yeah, I think. I think at this point, it's clear that they really wanted to upgrade this defense.
Yeah.
You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and with that, it's almost like not that you don't have playmakers on offense, you do, but obviously you went out, you got a really good free safety, you went out, you got a corner in Adebo,
Mm-hmm.
you drafted your outside linebacker, you got depth in defensive tackle, and you drafted it. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
obviously that's what they wanted. So, but are we good with the defense? We can
Yep.
roll in on how they neglected the offensive line.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I'll start with you want me to start with the wide receivers or running
Sure. Yeah, we
backs?
can start from the top. That's
All
fine.
right. So I do like the depth here in wide receiver. You got Neighbors and you got Neighbors. We'll start with the top three: Neighbors, Slayton, and Wandell Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Slayton, I look, regardless of his contract, he always seems to be there. Okay, starting off as a 3 wide receiver or a 2 wide receiver. If you need him to step up, he'll step up, and that's
Yeah,
just
he's been probably the most consistent receiver since he's been there.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
looks like he has a number change. He was rocking 86. Looks he's rocking 18 now.
yeah.
So
And if Wandell Robinson could stay, uh, he could stay healthy, that would be great. You know what I mean?
PPR monster last year, dude.
Yeah, he really was. He really was.
He'd have like 10 catches for 50 yards.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's you're welcome with your 15 points.
right. Jalen Hyatt, how do you feel about him? This is going to be what his third year, I think.
Dude, I'm not saying the guy ain't fast, but he's not utilized on. It's he's the cardio king. Okay, that's what he
Mhm.
is. He's a cardio king, and you know he's. I just don't see him as being utilized where he was drafted. I know he's 3rd round, but it doesn't seem to be panning out. And I'm hearing rumors of, oh, this team or that team should get Jalen Hyatt for what?
Yeah, it's just that Tennessee offense is just so you never know how it's going to translate to the league. It's just there's the way they run their routes and everything. They get open so easily. It's not necessarily an NFL offense. So
Hmm.
hopefully he continue to develop and you know bounce back.
Yeah, I like Pascal here. He's a good
Mhm.
depth guy. Um,
Yeah, you got little
I
Jordan Humphrey too.
Yeah, I think these are actually, good slot guys, you know what I mean? All these guys that could just kind of fit
I
in
think,
here.
yeah, like you said, they're good, solid veteran options,
Hmm.
which is what they lacked last year. They didn't have anything outside of Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton and Wandale Robinson. Once
Yeah.
those guys got hurt, you didn't have a legit NFL receiver, basically. At
Yeah.
least it didn't feel like it.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree with that, and it just does not seem like it at all. It probably doesn't seem like it because that was the answer. you
Yeah, fair
know.
enough.
You want to move on to?
Well, you're very passionate about the offensive line, so I'll let you attack the New York Giants for what they
I
did not
mean,
do.
all right. Who would they get? They get James Hudson the third, who's going to be your depth guy out of Cleveland.
Swing
You still got
tackle. Yeah.
swing tackle, right? Okay, you got John Runyon from Green Bay. I mean, they didn't give him this year, but you know where where'd you upgrade? Would you get a fifth
Maybe,
rounder? And
maybe a guard, maybe the guard, like
yeah,
Marcus Imbo.
yeah, in the fifth round, and it's like it drives me nuts that this is the reason
Well, what's
why.
Evan Neal going to be? Is he going to develop at guard? Is he going to be somewhat serviceable at tackle? Like that's another
Yeah,
one. It's just like
I
it's
mean,
just
for God's sakes, you brought Greg Van Roten back.
from
If
Vegas.
you're, huh?
From Vegas.
Yeah, but like the dude is. We are talking about the same Van Roten that was in Carolina, right?
That's a good question. Let's find out.
Yeah, yeah. This dude is 35 years old,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, if that is your option, that's the option that you. He was terrible on the Jets 2 years ago.
Well, I think they're hoping Imbo kind of takes that guard spot, or Evan Neal. I think he's just a veteran option. We'll see how it shakes out in camp.
I
But
mean, so this is the thing. All right, so you got Andrew Thomas, John Runyon, John Michael Smith Jr., who I'm not even gonna knock him. I think he was supposed to be actually ranked. Him and Titman were ranked, I think 1 and 2 in
yeah,
that
pretty
draft
close
in
to each other. Yeah.
2023. Yeah, so and I think he's doing fine.
Yeah.
But then this is we got Forsyth that you signed from Seattle. Okay, you got Marcus Bow in the fifth round, which you can't even get Evan Neal, who was your first round. You got him as your third player on your depth chart behind
Yeah, but
Greg Van Roten. This drives me nuts. Like this is why Saquon Barkley left.
I think it had other things to do with it. I don't think it was offensive line that.
I'm sorry. That's my opinion. Like obviously it has to do with money too. I get
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
look, I'd be
Well,
frustrated.
at the time, I think a lot of people liked Evan Neal. I think that
Yeah.
he was probably one of the quote unquote safer picks. Nobody knows why it hasn't worked out other than Neal and
Mhm.
the Giants,
Yeah.
right? So that's why. Is there still potential there? You'd hope so.
3 years later, better
But
be first round pick.
who? So they had the third pick. Who would you have rather them take instead of Abdul Carter?
Abdul Carter.
Mhm.
With that the third pick overall.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter is a good pick. You came back up to get your quarterback, which we'll get into that in a second. But then your second, you can go into the second. They didn't pick any.
I don't think
You
they had
waited.
a second rounder.
You waited to the fifth round to get an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
That's that. I just don't understand that logic.
Maybe for me, I feel like they just trusted their board and took what they valued at those slots.
Yeah,
I don't think they were trying to reach for certain positions.
fair enough.
So that's
I want,
that's obviously my opinion.
no. I get
I'm
it.
giving the benefit of the doubt. Right.
I'm frustrated because it's like the Giants are like my second team. Okay.
Okay.
Like I'm a Jets fan, obviously, but I'm from New York. When I see the Giants play, I'm one on the win, and I'm like, please. But I mean, moving on, right? they have their new quarterback. They have a new running back. They have two other new quarterbacks too. Like, I get this, and they got great picks here with Scadaboo and you know what I mean. All these
Yeah.
guys. We'll get into that in a second. But
Yeah.
you want to run through the tight ends real quick?
Yeah. I mean, you got Theo Johnson with
Mhm.
this is probably going to be his second year. Daniel Bellinger going into his third year. The Chris Manhertz, who's I feel like he's been around forever. And then Greg Dulcich from Denver as their fourth tight end. So you got definitely some talent in that room right there.
That is a lot of talent, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the tight end room it's got me feeling nicey.
Nice.
You
Dude,
know?
did you ever see Daniel Bellinger? How jacked he was? Like
Yeah.
like that one. He was a monster.
Yeah. And then took Theo Johnson the next
Yeah,
year.
and then they took Theo Johnson. Yeah.
But look at this quarterback room. How much fun is this quarterback room?
I just want to be there for the conversation.
Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, first rounder Jackson Dart, and Tommy DeVito, Colt legend.
Dude. I just want to hear the conversations between Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and then I want to hear the knowledge that Jameis Winston is going to be giving to Jackson Dart, and then I want to see the reaction of Tommy DeVito of the things that Jameis Winston is going to be saying to Jackson Dart.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Love the quarterback room. It's great.
Dude, if they just start thriving, I'm gonna be so happy for them.
Do you feel like this is why the NFC East got the back half of Hard Knocks? Where you know how they started doing the thing where they cover the four teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. So last year they did the AFC North. This year they're doing the NFC East in the second half.
That's great.
It's gotta be for the quarterback room, right?
It's gotta be, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the running backs now. Let's finish up the Giants.
All right.
Spend a lot of time with these guys.
So Tyrone Tracy Jr., as you know, drafted last year. And he showed some great flashes last year. He proved that he could run with the best of them.
Yeah, great receiver. He
Yep.
was a receiver at Purdue, and then
Devin Singletary. You know, I look. I think is this the last on his contract, or do they give him a 3-year contract? And yeah, this is like number 2.
Let's see.
Regardless, though, but they do have Devin Singletary, Cam Scadaboo, 4th rounder. But you told me about this guy early in the college season, and you were raving about him. He's like 5'9", but he's a tank. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got some talent. He might not be a burner, but he can catch the ball. He's versatile. He does not go down on first contact.
He does not go down easy.
I got to see him in the Big 12 championship game, and it was an incredible performance. He absolutely put the team on his back and just dominated.
Didn't he throw up
in
like the garbage cans? Yeah. Rile his offense back up, go out there, have the game of his life, and then throw up again in the garbage.
Yeah, he threw a touchdown too.
Of course he did.
So
of course he did.
Yeah, man. That's a great pick. The Giants are gonna absolutely love him.
Shout out to Scadaboo, man.
Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty much a 3rd round pick, by the way. It's the first pick of the 4th round.
Right. And he chose Rock 44. Vibes are immaculate.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
Which we will have an episode on numbers, by the way. We've discussed it. So and you got Eric Gray, who was drafted in 23. He's kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit, with Tyrone Tracy being there, Cam Scadaboo being there now, Dante Miller from San Francisco, and Rashawn Baker. So these are just like some of these are just camp bodies, and you know, but that's looking like the New York Giants.
Yes, sir.
And we will move on to the Super Bowl champs.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles. You want to start us off there, buddy?
Yeah. We're starting at the bottom. We're starting at the top.
Yeah, we'll start at the bottom. We'll start with the GM and the head coach and stuff. I guess that should be kind of be the headliner, right?
Yeah, let's do it. So, GM Howie Roseman, I think he's been on a heater of his last few years. It's very hard to argue that anyone's done a better job our last few seasons of acquiring talent and letting talent obviously walk and kind of rebuilding this roster. But done a great job. Got head coach Nick Sirianni, who has been to the Super Bowl twice, has won one, right? He's I think he's pretty much underrated head coach. Everybody wanted his head last year, and then
Yeah, until he started winning.
yeah, exactly. So they have a new OC yet again. I think this is what third or fourth time they've had a new office coordinator. Kevin Patullo. Don't know too much about him, but yeah, longtime veteran defense coordinator Vic Fangio, who has done an elite job of creating these defenses. First, he did it in Denver, did it in Chicago, helped Miami, and obviously saw what they did last year. So
it looks like the new offensive coordinator is from Township, New Jersey.
okay.
Hillsborough Township, New Jersey. Graduated from South Florida. Graduate assistant at South Florida, graduate assistant at Arizona, and he was the offense assistant and quality control coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. Just a couple things about him. That's all.
Yeah.
He was also offensive quality coach, control coach for the Buffalo Bills, assistant wide receivers coach for the Buffalo Bills, assistant wide receivers coach for the Tennessee Titans. So this is 2012, 2014, and 2016. 15 and 16, he was quarterback coach for the New York Jets. That's when Todd Bowles was there.
Okay.
Senior offensive analyst at Texas A&M in 2017. Wide receivers coach for the Indianapolis Colts 2018 to 2019. 2020, he was the pass game specialist for the Indianapolis coach. And now 2021 to now, he's been a pass game coordinator, associate head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's been working his way up. So I think he knows exactly what he's doing with Kevin here.
Probably future head coach.
Yeah. Nick Sirianni's definitely had his eye like, hey, you know exactly what's going on. So he's, being able to teach quarterbacks, teach wide receivers, and stuff like that. I think he's going to come out with a great, great game plan.
Yeah.
All right. You want to dive into? We'll dive into special teams.
Yeah.
All right. So Avery Williams as the punt returner, kick returner. Jake Elliott, who is, you know what? Jake Elliott's just been Jake Elliott, doing whatever he wants to do. Braden Mann, he was a punter that did not work out from the Jets, and then he went over to the Eagles, and he's got him kicking the way he wants him to kick. So
I thought he was with San Francisco for a little bit.
Pittsburgh, I think. Let me click on him. Yeah, let me see. Oh, geez, here we go. New York Jets, Pittsburgh, Philly, and yeah, obviously he did come with San Francisco, but yes.
Okay, cool.
Player history here. Damn. Okay. Well. Braden Mann, got it. Jake Elliott, cool. All right, let's dive
long snapper.
Sorry.
Hewlett from Cleveland.
Charlie.
From
hey,
Cleveland.
Chuck. We come for your daughter, Chuck.
Oh, wow. Charlie
bit me. All right. You want to start with defensive line, or you want to start with corners?
Yeah, I think defensive line is probably the talk of the town for the Eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got Moro Jomo and Ty Robinson at first defensive end spots. Jordan Davis, Thomas Booker the fourth at the nose tackle. Jalen Carter, Byron Young, and Gabe Hall at defensive tackle. So pretty young room there, but also you lost some talent there.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Brandon Graham retired. You had Milton Williams walk. I feel like they had somebody else walk too.
They had a couple people, man. They lost a lot to contracts.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, like going into the linebacker room here. I mean, you have Nolan Smith Jr., Bryce Huff. Now I'm wondering what they're going to do with Bryce Huff and if they got him to where they wanted him to be, because they signed a three-year contract that was a pretty pricey contract, and then you got
Yeah.
Joshua Uche from
Yep.
Kansas City. That's a lot of depth. That's a
Yep.
lot of depth just for that one specific spot, and then Patrick Johnson.
But I think it's kind of always been the theme with the Eagles is they have all these guys that like to rotate out.
Yeah,
You've got to have some depth at the edge rushers.
and then you have your will linebacker over there from New Orleans.
Yep, good old Zach Bond. We didn't know what to do with him. Then he comes out as an All-Pro, almost Defensive Player of the Year.
And then you got Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and then they drafted a 5th-round linebacker in Small
Munden Jr.
Jr., yeah. And
Smell,
Dixon Lance, who's I think he's going to be a camp guy there.
Yeah.
And then they drafted another, Jihad Campbell at the end of the 1st round, which is great because N'Kobe Dean is hurt, so.
Well, I believe Jihad Campbell's hurt too. Didn't he have shoulder surgery? He has to get the other shoulder surgery, and he's got a knee injury.
Yeah, he's going to.
So.
And then they have Dallas Gant from San Francisco. And then Jalix Hunt, Aziz Ajulari from the New York Giants, and they drafted another. This is where you're gonna get this is their bread and butter right here. You know what I mean? They drafted people to get after
trench work. Yeah.
Yes. So Antoine,
Powell Ryland Jr.
Powell Ryland Jr. Yeah, and then KJ Henry from San Francisco, and over to the corners. They still, dude, even after this year, they still made some secondary. They still got some secondary help too. So
Absolutely,
they got a Dory Jackson right behind Keely Ringo at your left cornerback position. Yep. So they signed him, and they have Tariq Castro Fields and BJ Mays. What I like is the fact that they're drafting knowing that these guys could potentially start sometime during the season, but they're ready to just be like, hey, you're just going to be right here. It's almost like they're setting everything up because the people that they have now are still very excellent players.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, we're going to teach you how to be these players. And I think they're just doing it really, really well. So,
yeah, I think they got a very youthful secondary that's going to just continue to develop and blossom. I mean, Keely Ringo came out in 2023. Sidney Brown, strong safety, came out in 2023. Reed Blankenship was in 2022. Quinyon Mitchell was in 2024. Cooper DeJean, 2024 class. So, and you added more guys to that room. Mac McWilliams in the 5th round.
Yeah.
This year's class, you got Eli Ricks from 2023 class. Andrew Makuba, one of my favorite safeties from Texas in this class in the 2nd round. So,
and I think even in the depth here versus Perry Nickerson, he went over to San Francisco, but that's because he played under a solid defense, and he was really good in special teams. Very, very quick, very fast. So he's a very good special teams guy.
Nice. And they have Lewis Singh. Just buried the depth chart.
Oh yeah, Buffalo. Wow, he's back there too.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would be. Wow, he's in.
So the first rounder from Minnesota was with Buffalo, and then now he's with Philly.
Wow.
They love the Georgia players.
All right, you want to move on to offense?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. And
not too many changes on the offensive.
Not too many. They made some signings. Again, everything is depth. They got who they want. That's how they won the championship. Okay, they got who they want here. So they did some depth stuff. So start off with the 3 wide receivers. They They have A.J. Brown, we all know of. Jahan Dotson, they traded for last year from Washington in division, which is wild. And then Devontae Smith, who is, just your top three right there, right?
Yeah.
In the depths with that, you got Johnny Wilson, who's 6'6". I'm waiting to see if he becomes anything, to be honest,
Yeah.
but we'll see when people start to kind of move their way out. Terrace Marshall from Las Vegas Raiders. Anaya Smith, that's your boy.
Nah, not Anais Smith. Nah, I don't know. He's the A&M guy, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep, Texas
Yeah.
A&M. Yep.
Yeah. Danny Gray is the SMU alum, so speedster.
Danny Gray. Didn't you try to get a nice in a dynasty?
No, sir, not me.
No, somebody else.
Wrong Cito.
My bad, yo.
Yeah,
Then you
he's just
got
more of a gadget player. He's just more of a return guy, anyways.
there's your guy Danny Gray.
Yep.
Bam,
Yes, sir.
good
He was with
size.
San Francisco for a while.
6 foot, 200 pounds. Not bad. Then you got Elijah Cooks, Darius Cooper, Giles Jackson, and
Taylor Moore.
Taylor Moore.
Yeah.
So good depth. They always have people that can just step up and just
Yeah.
deliver a first down or
Yeah,
block.
pretty good room.
Yeah,
Pretty good room
their
there.
guys block too. That's hardcore right
Mhm.
there. But you want to start us off with you
Yeah.
lead us into the offensive line there?
Yeah, probably arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. You
Mm-hmm.
got Jordan Mailata at left tackle, Landon Dickerson at left guard, Cam Jurgens at center, Tyler Steen at right guard, and Lane Johnson at right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Then they brought in quite a bit of depth.
They did.
You got Miles Hinton, they drafted in the 6th round. You got Kenyon Green, who was part of that trade to Houston. He came over from Houston with the Chauncey Gardner Jr. trade. Chauncey Gardner Johnson, excuse me.
Yeah.
Drafted Drew Kindle in the 5th round of this year's class. Have Trevor Keegan from the 2024 class. Kendall Lamb, unsigned free agent from Kendall Lamb from Miami. Then you just go even further. You got Holland Pierce. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that name. Lakin Bakahali. Darian Kinnard. Brett Toth, Matt Pryor, and then another draft pick, Cameron Williams out of Texas, 6th round. Great depth, solid dudes.
There's so much, dude.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to keep them afloat for like the next couple of years,
Well, yeah, that and obviously Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I mean they
AJ
keep
Brown.
blocking for these guys. These guys are just you give it to your playmakers and keep going. That's what you do.
Check out this tight end room.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert, Grant, I can never say his name. Calcaterra,
Yeah.
Kylan Granson. You've seen these guys before. Granson played a little bit in Indianapolis last year.
So Calcaterra and Granson are both SMU alums.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
Nice. Bryant Harrison from Las Vegas. Nick Muse from San Francisco. Cameron Latsu from San Francisco. EJ Jenkins from San Francisco. Like they're San Francisco guys.
Yeah, I mean they've had a lot of they got a lot of depth there.
Yeah. Do you think Dallas Goedert? There's been rumors of him being traded. Do you think they trade him?
No, didn't they do something with his contract to keep him?
Did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, that's out the door then.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think that SF. I don't think that's San Francisco.
No.
No, because if you look at
CF. I'm sorry, CF. There's a CF and an SF.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the SF is. Because if you look at it, like Nick Muse, he was never in San Francisco.
Depth chart key.
Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry. CF.
Street free agent.
Damn, he was on the streets.
That's what I said.
Damn. Yeah. Always a way to find out, right?
Oh yeah.
Free agents. Okay, cool. And then you go to the quarterback room, and you got Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, Kyler McCord from Syracuse, right?
Yep.
And then Dorian Thompson Robinson from Cleveland. They traded for him, so
Yeah, they pick a trade. Can you pick a trade?
Yep, I believe that's what it was. And then this piqued my interest a little bit. Maybe not everybody else. I have a feeling that AJ Dillon is going to give more effort here in Philadelphia than he did in Green Bay the past year or so.
Is it effort, or I think he have an injury, a pretty bad quad injury, or like he tore his quad or something?
I am not sure of that.
I'm pretty positive.
That's probably what it was. You know what I mean? I'm probably just talking out my, hello. But I just think.
Let's see.
I just think that he's not going to get the touches like Saquon's going to get, but he was remember when AJ Dillon first came in? He was a monster to take down.
So AJ Dillon had a neck injury that kept him out all of last season.
All of last season?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that's a good spot for him personally.
Oh yeah,
Philadelphia, especially with that kind of coach.
Can you imagine the quads in that room with Saquon and AJ Dillon? My goodness.
Right. And then
right there.
Then you got Will Shipley, who was drafted in 2024 last year in the 4th round. Avery Williams from Atlanta. Montrell Johnson Jr. Lou Nichols and Shunderick Powell. And then you got your fullback, Ben Van Sumeren.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a cool name.
That is pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
And that is your Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles.
That is, yeah. They couldn't in part, maybe even your Super Bowl 2025.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. And let's close it out with one more unexpected team that made it to the Final Four last year. And we'll start off with the GM, Adam Peters, with your Washington Commanders.
Yep.
Head coach, Dan Quinn. Offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. Defensive coordinator, Joe Witt Jr. And your special teams, Larry Izzo. I thought that they did a brilliant job with what they wanted Daniels to do last year. And I think Kingsbury is the perfect coach for him. So I think
it was smart for him to not take any jobs.
I think it was, you have another chance to make it deep into the playoffs this year again.
Yeah.
So with that, you got your let's go to special teams. You have Austin Eckler and the depth, but starting off as a punt returner, kick returner, they're putting Luke McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother, right in there. You got kickoff is Matt Gay, and your holder is Tress Way. Matt Gay and Tress Way. That's awesome. And then Tyler Ott. Why do all of her names have 3 letters in it?
Yeah. Ott Way Gay.
Word. That's funny.
Yeah, what a room. That's great.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what they upgraded. They did more so. There are some things that I just didn't understand.
I guess you're gonna go straight to Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah, I just that was a big contract, which I just didn't see. But whichever, they signed a couple people which they needed. That I will say. Yeah. So we'll start off with the defensive line. Dorrance Armstrong Dorrance Armstrong, Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise. So Kinlaw coming from the Jets, but also really he was just kind of like a 1-year deal and came over from San Francisco. So he's coached well. New England, Dietrich Wise. He's been in a system with the New England that's always based around defense. So I think these are good guys for who they have. But I just thought that they would draft more. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, they drafted a lot of offense more so rather than
yeah.
But to be fair, they traded a lot of picks to acquire some of these talented guys.
I'm not gonna lie. The guys that they did get on offense were they're playmakers, and they're not messing around. So
Yeah,
but they got Jacob Martin in the depth with Jerzon Newton and Eddie Goldman from Atlanta, and how do you say that name? Clellan Farrell. Oh, from San Francisco. Oh
yeah.
no, I'm thinking.
He was with Vegas, and then he was with San Francisco.
All right, it is the
Sure.
Farrell
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kind of go.
Got a lot of depth.
Yeah, I was gonna say you go a little deeper here.
line.
You got Jalen Holmes from San Francisco, Norrell Pollard, who's not from San Francisco. I'm sorry, I keep doing that.
The straight free agent.
Yeah, and then Sheldon Day from Minnesota, Javante Jean Baptiste, and nope. Just want to make sure we're not going into the linebackers. Then Andre Jones Jr., Carl Davis, Ricky Barber.
That's a great name.
Filiami Fihoku Jr.
Junior.
And then you got TJ Magaranyanga. I think I nailed that one.
Yeah, that was great. I couldn't have done it any better.
I kind of want to stop
Proud of
recording
you.
now.
I'm proud of you. That was great. Here, let me get into the linebackers for you.
Yeah, do it.
For taking over.
Yeah, I don't have anything left in me after that.
Yeah. So you got Frankie Louvu at the will linebacker, Nick Belmore.
Which he showed up for them really good last
Frankie
year.
Frankie Louvu is great. He was great in Carolina. I think he's a really underrated player. Came in the first year in Washington. Lights out. But you got Nick Belmore. Came over from Seattle. Dominique Hampton, 5th round pick of theirs in the 2024 class. And then Al Cajo to round out the will linebacker depth. Then you got the Ageless Wonder.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it's Ale Cahu.
Ale Cahu. Yeah, sure. It works for me.
Whatever.
But you got Ageless Wonder, Bobby Wagner, just cranking out another season.
How old is he?
He's got to be, 36?
34.
34.
And he still looks like he's 23.
Right? So I don't know if I like him much in pass coverage, but great run defender still.
Yeah.
You know? Then you got Jordan McGee backing him up in middle linebacker. 6th round pick, Kane Medrano. Mm-hmm. And then you got Cam Arnold lining up the middle linebacker room.
I like it. Yep. They made one draft pick there, which is fine. They got cornerbacks, Mike Sanristil or Sanristil.
Yeah.
Yep. With
Michigan corner.
Kevon Seymour, Carlin Vigers, and Alan George. And you got your strong safety and your free safety. So your strong safety is Will Harris from your side of the woods, New Orleans.
Yep.
And then your
he played great last year too.
Yeah, I think they have a good scheme. They just need more talent around them. So it's
yeah.
And you got Percy Butler behind them and Tyler Owens behind. The depth with the free safety. You got Quan Martin and with Jeremy Reeves behind him and Ben Nickel behind him. And then
you would think Ben Nickel would play the nickel spot, but
you would hope. You would hope.
Makes sense, right?
But no, they're not going to do that. But you got Marshawn Lattimore from, again, your neck of the woods. They see good talent when they see it. And they drafted Trey Amos, which was a great draft pick in the 2nd round. And then Bobby Price and Fentrell Cypress II, which is an awesome name, by the way.
Yeah, wasn't he at he's at Florida State last year, I believe.
Yes, he was. He was cornerback, 6'2", 187. And then your nickel would be
Jonathan Jones from New England.
Yeah, Jonathan Jones, Noah Igbagnani from Dallas, and Robert McDaniel. So They have some people in here. I think their defense will be a little bit better, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just going to call it now. I won't be surprised if they trade for somebody big in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I mean, they've already shown they're not afraid to wheel and deal. So
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, it'll be cool to see how their defense continues to grow and come together. But I think they definitely add some talent through free agency and through the draft.
Let's move up to the offense. You know what? You take us away with the offense. You pick your bread and butter here, buddy.
All right, let's start with the receivers. We got Terry McLaurin. Great for us last year. Helped us make a little bit of cheddar, so that was nice. KJ Osborne, Michael Gallup coming out of retirement, coming back, playing for the Washington Commanders. And you got Jacoby Jones, rounding out
Jones,
the left receiver. Is that it's got to be an undrafted free agent, right?
Yeah.
Central Florida.
Yeah.
Then at the right receiver spot, you got Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Ja'Cory Brooks, and Mike Strachan.
This is This is a lot of depth in this wide receiver room.
It's a big receiver room too.
Yeah.
Right. But then slot receiver, they traded for Deebo Samuel from San Francisco, took Jalen Lane in the 4th round, get Chris Moore, and then Casimir Allen to round out the slot receiver. So there's a lot of depth at receiver, just some big bodies. There's some talent in that room.
Yeah. Moving over to the offensive line, I think this is big right here. And I think they did their due diligence with this. You got Laramie Tunsil, a trade from Houston for your left tackle spot. Trent Scott from Pittsburgh, and then Foster Sorrell from the Los Angeles Chargers. Think about the people the Tunsil, we already know. Tunsil was a great name, okay, and a great player, okay. But look at the places where these guys are coming from. Pittsburgh, Chargers. These are head coaches that they coach well. Yeah. They coach really, really well, and that's what they're getting out of it, and their left tackle depth as well. And then you get from Kansas City, Nick Allegretti, Nate Herbig, again another Pitt guy, Chris Paul. That was a couple years ago, right? That's 2022.
Mm-hmm.
He's good depth.
I think his brother plays linebacker.
Does he?
Yeah, I think so. And
then your center, Tyler Biadasz from Dallas. Mm-hmm. Michael Dieter from Houston again. And Julian Good-Jones from Philly. Okay, these are centers.
Not bad Jones. Good Jones.
I got Cam Cosme, who is hurt at right guard.
That's Texas legend Sam Cosme.
You and your Texas legends.
That's Texas legend.
This is what I'm noticing, though. The next guy coming up is Andrew Wiley, who we've seen play for Kansas City, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if that's the case, right on the other side, on the other guard, is going to be Nick Allegretti, another Kansas City guy. You have more than enough Pitt guys on here. You have Houston guys on here. He's getting all these guys like Michael Dieter and Laramie Tunsil. You got Nick Allegretti
really good
and
depth.
Andrew Wiley. Yeah,
and these guys came from good programs.
They've worked together. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And I think with the right tackle, got Brandon Coleman, who was a monster left tackle at TCU. A lot of people thought he'd kick into guard, but he stayed at tackle last year. I believe he played left and right, so that could be someone to keep an eye on. That could potentially go into guard as well if Sam Cosme isn't ready to go when the season starts, because they took Josh Connerly Jr. in the 1st round.
Okay.
This past draft.
Yeah, I think that was big for them. You know what I mean? To take Connery in a 1st round, they needed that, and again, it's just going to be so. You go Brandon Coleman, Josh Connery Jr., Bobby Hart, Tyree Phillips, right? And then you go to your tight end. That solidifies. They got a lot of great strength and depth in that. And then you go to your tight end. You still got Zach Ertz still chipping away. How old is he?
Ageless wonder.
Yeah, 34.
Yeah.
34 years old, Zach Ertz. John Bates, which I don't really see John Bates taking this over Ben Sinnott. I
I
think
like Ben
Ben's
Sinnott a lot coming out a couple of years ago.
yeah.
He just had a really quiet rookie season.
Yeah, I think, and that's because Zach Ertz is there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
A perfect tight end blanket guy that can be like, hey, you need to get rid of the ball. I'm right here. You know what I mean? And that's what he was for Daniels too.
Yeah.
Colson Yankoff and Tyree Jackson, Cole Turner, and Lawrence Cager. Lawrence Cager has been around. He was actually on the Jets for a while, but he's actually a big dude. Look at that. 6'5", 6'5", 220 pounds. He was actually a wide receiver.
Okay.
And they transferred him over to a tight end.
Cole Turner wasn't he the Nevada tight end that also has some really good size?
Yep. 6'6", 240. Good size.
So you got some size and big body guys in that tight end room. So
yeah,
a lot of big body targets for the golden child, Mr. Daniels.
Yes, sir. You wanna talk about Mr. Daniels?
Yeah. So at quarterback, you got the second-year player Jaden Daniels, just came out obliterated the season last year. It was great. Helped us lead us to some money in our fantasy championships as well.
Yeah,
so
he did.
And it's something that we targeted early. It's something we both agreed on and thought that he could do some damage with his legs. And sure enough, he was great all around.
He did indeed.
You got a veteran backup in Marcus Mariota and Mr. Josh Johnson, who's the world traveler, who's played for, I think, 20-something teams?
Yeah.
And then you also got Sam Hartman rounding out that quarterback room. Mr. John Wick himself.
My man, John Wick. Oh, gosh.
What a quarterback room. That's another one that's great.
We're gonna jump into the running back room. Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols. I like this 7th round pick with Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Michael Wiley, Chris Rodriguez Jr., which you've seen some of him. He can show up at times. He's a speedster. Yeah. And then Demetric Felton. Okay, so Demetric Felton, I believe, were they on the Browns?
Yep.
And Cincinnati, and Chicago, and Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's been around.
He has been. But that's your wide receiver room. I would imagine, from what I'm hearing, is that all of these contracts for Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, and Jeremy McNichols, a bunch of these guys, I think they're at the end of their contracts at the end of this year. There's a really good chance that Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt could really get a good chance to start playing at the end of this year to see what they got, and they'll probably make I'm going to guess that they'll make a pretty good pick for a running back next year or sign somebody or what have you. But, but that concludes the NFC
East,
the NFC East of what we, the depth. And we're just going to keep on going through little by little of, each team, since we got more than enough time, and we're going to bring this stuff into you guys with fantasy and exactly what fantasy's going to look like this year after all these draft picks. Who's going to be playing? Who's not going to be playing? Are they going to get time? Are they going to sit? Are they not going to sit? You know what I mean? Like, it really does matter. You're putting your money in. So it all matters, my friend.
That it does. This is a fun one.
Yeah, good to see the depth.
Yeah,
everything and how it looks, and not just on a fantasy aspect again, which we'll get to, but just on a football level of like.
Yeah, and sometimes you forget, like, these crazy big trades happen, like Tunsil and Deebo Samuel, but you forget, like, oh snap, yeah, that happened so many months ago.
Yeah,
that they are on Washington. They're not on Houston or San Francisco anymore. So.
Yeah, once had to ride somewhere, and then they had to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And that's where they end up, and the journey continues. Journeyman. Who's a better journeyman than Ryan Fitzpatrick?
I think he wrote the book on it.
He might have. But hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, tell your folks, hit the 5-star, leave a comment, swipe up, leave those comments. And make sure you enjoy your night. This is your boy C Dub and Dirty. We are out. Peace.
Deuces.